What's happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So in this video I'm going to be giving my thoughts and my review on Tales of the Jedi, the new Star Wars animated series that premiered on Disney Plus. Also in this video I'm going to be ranking the episodes, so you're getting a review and also a ranking in the same video. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so Tales of the Jedi, a new series on Disney Plus, new anime series on Disney Plus. Honestly, very short. Only had 6 episodes, and each episode was about 15, maybe 15 to 20 minutes long each. There's probably one that was maybe 10 or 13 minutes long, maybe. But honestly, pretty short episodes. Could binge watch them and be done with them less than 2 hours. So honestly, I gotta say overall, as the episodes go and telling a story on and everything like that, honestly, pretty good episodes. Basically, they were telling, we got 2 characters stories basically in these episodes. There was 3 that were dedicated to Ahsoka Tano, and there was 3 other ones that were dedicated to Dooku. And so basically, we got 3 episodes for each character, and I gotta say that they were honestly, all 6 episodes together were honestly pretty good. I did enjoy watching them. When it comes to Star Wars animation, I think they do a really good job with it. Whenever they do Star Wars animation and stuff like that, they have good stories and good animation and all that. So they did a good job with this series. I enjoyed watching this series. I watched like one episode one day. That's all I had time for, to watch one episode one day, and then I watched the other episodes, binge watch the other episodes the next day. So I was able to kind of knock it out kind of quickly, and watch these episodes and just now give my review, give my thoughts on these episodes. One thing I want to say is that I really enjoyed the Dooku episodes. There was about 3 episodes for Dooku, and I like how it was kind of a not an origin story, but it was basically his how do I explain it? Basically, him as a Jedi right before he turns into a Sith Lord or whatever, and so basically the story of him right before he turns into a Sith Lord, and so he's basically a Jedi in these 3 episodes. I mean, there's one episode where you see his progression into becoming a Sith Lord, but basically the episodes is him as a Jedi, and the way the story plays out is it takes place over a couple years. So the first episode that we see of Dooku is actually him when he's a little younger, and we also get a younger Qui-Gon Jinn. This is a young Qui-Gon Jinn, him as a Padawan to Dooku. So we get that. That's one episode. Another episode is probably like years later, where we get him and Mace Windu checking out something, and then the other episode after that is him a little older, and he finds out about the death of Qui-Gon Jinn in the Phantom Menace, and that's when we get his progression into him becoming a Sith Lord. So I gotta say, when it came to the episodes with Dooku, I really liked how they fleshed that story out and gave it a span of years, and just telling a story of him as a Jedi, and then giving us that, and just being able to tell that story into his progression into a Sith Lord. So I really enjoyed that story with Count Dooku and all that. And then the other episodes we got, 3 other episodes we got, were for the character of Ahsoka, which is a very popular character among Star Wars fans. Basically, one episode we get was when she was born and basically a toddler. Another episode we get is when she's training with Anakin, and another episode is when we get her when she's a little older after Revenge of the Sith, the movie Revenge of the Sith. So I like that story, along with that they were telling with Ahsoka. It was spanning many years too, just like Dooku's story was. So I was really enjoyed what they were able to do with these episodes, and be able to tell those 2 separate stories. And the animation looked great overall in all the episodes. I like the way the animation looked. The score was amazing, especially when it came to like battle scenes. There was a lot of them. There was a great, amazing score going on in these episodes, and battle scenes especially too. I like the score that they were having in there. That big swelling music and all that. They did a really good job with that, capturing capturing the emotion through music throughout the episodes and through battle scenes and things like that. I really enjoyed that, and really just watching these stories. I want to say they're similar, but the way that you see these stories progress with each character, with Dooku and then with Ahsoka, one common thing that I was kind of noticing, and they don't go on the same path necessarily, but one thing I noticed was they kind of were questioning the Jedi ways a little bit. Like, Dooku especially was questioning the Jedi ways and the things that were happening and stuff like that, and it pretty much was his progression on him becoming a Sith Lord. So we get a lot of that backstory with him and that, and then of course Ahsoka was through the years, many years, and like I said, one episode takes place right after Revenge of the Sith. So, and she's not really a Jedi no more, and we get that kind of story, that progression of that story a little bit, and it was kind of interesting seeing both of those stories take place between those two characters. I really enjoyed what they were able to do, kind of expand on some lore and things like that in the Star Wars universe, and give these two characters a story that we really haven't probably seen before. As far as I know, we haven't seen this story before with Dooku, and we haven't seen this story necessarily with Ahsoka. So, as far as I know, at least. But I like what they were able to do with this series overall, and expand on their stories and their backgrounds, and just what they were going through, just their thoughts and stuff like that, and things that the Jedi do, and just them like witnessing stuff and noticing stuff, and their progression through the years of Jedi ways into a different path that they chose to go on. So like I said, I enjoyed the series overall. I enjoyed the animation. I enjoyed what they're able to do with the series and these shorts, whatever, and being able to tell those two different stories and all that. So I really recommend it. If you're a Star Wars fan, definitely check out the series on Disney Plus. I highly recommend it. It honestly was pretty good. But let me go ahead and get into the ranking of these episodes. So there was a total of 6 episodes, like I said. So we're going to start off at the bottom and go to the top best episode. So I wrote them down. Let me go ahead and get through this one. All right. So starting off at the bottom for me, and all these episodes, I'll just say straightforward. None of these episodes were really bad to me or anything like that. They're all good episodes, but of course, in the ranking, you gotta put something at the bottom. So at the bottom for me is going to be episode 1, and it was titled Life and Death. So this is an episode that I was talking about where it shows the beginning years of Ahsoka Tano, where her birth, where her being born, and then her sort of adventure, like a toddler, her as a toddler. So that's the episode that we get for her in episode 1, titled Life and Death, and it was a kind of a good kind of episode. Basically, her being born, and then something happens in the series, happens in the episode. I don't want to get too much details or give too many spoilers, but basically by the end of the episode, one of the elders in her village goes on to say she's a Jedi. So that's how it kind of ends and all that in that episode. So honestly, it's a good episode. I liked it, but of course with the ranking, you gotta put something down at the bottom. Moving on to the next episode, next spot on the list is for me is going to be episode 2, titled Justice. Now, this is where we get into Count Dooku's younger years, where he has Qui-Gon Jinn as his Padawan, and they are trying to look for a senator's son that was kidnapped, and they find this village that took the senator's son because they accuse the senator of being basically corrupt and not helping out the village. And Dooku notices the village, how run down it is, how they haven't been getting no help and all that. So whenever the senator does come to the village to get his son, Dooku turns on the senator and faces the senator and accuses him of not helping out and things like that with the village and all that. And we get a younger Qui-Gon Jinn in this episode, which was pretty cool to see. Qui-Gon Jinn in his younger years, his Padawan years, which was pretty cool. So I did like the episode for what it was worth. But moving on, let's go to the next spot. The next spot for me on the list is going to be episode 3, titled Choices. This is another Count Dooku episode where he teams up with Mace Windu, and they try to go and recover the dead body of a fellow Jedi. And this fellow Jedi, they go to recover the body, and it turns out that they find out how she really died. And it turns out that the senator was corrupt, and that the guards actually killed their fellow Jedi. And Count Dooku is, he has different means of getting answers and all that, and he's like seeing the corruptness, I guess that's the word, the corruption of the center, and the corruption of just things in general, like that. And then whenever they get back to their council, Mace Windu is promoted to council member instead of Count Dooku. And there was Mace Windu was telling Dooku basically like, I followed rules, and that's why they made me council member, and you didn't follow rules and stuff like that. So we kind of get that progression of seeing the ways of the Jedi and stuff like that. Count Dooku's not really following the ways of the Jedi. So it was a very interesting episode. I really liked that episode too. Moving on though, for me in the next spot is going to be episode 5, Practice, titled Practice Makes Perfect. Now this was an Ahsoka episode, and it shows her basically going through her training, and she's Anakin was like saying, you want hard training, so he pretty much makes her train against clone troopers. And basically they're trying to take her down. They shoot lasers and stuff like that. She has to defend herself and all that stuff like that. And basically we get the progression. She's fails and fails and fails, and she keeps getting back up, practicing. And by the time we get to the last episode is where we get her to where she's wielding double lightsaber blades. And I kind of noticing throughout this episode, I kind of like the way that the fighting technique, the lightsaber technique that Ahsoka uses. I kind of like the way she does it. And then we get to the last episode, which I've been hearing kind of that it connects to Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, which is another anime show. So I've been hearing that the ending to this episode connects to that. And basically the episode shows that she is captured by clone troopers and taken to somewhere. And people were saying that it kind of ties into Star Wars Rebels. So I haven't seen Star Wars Rebels yet. I got to get on that. I know I got to watch that, stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see that connection going forward, see how it does actually get there. Moving on to the next spot on the list for me is going to be episode 6, Resolve. This is another Ahsoka Tano episode. Basically, this takes place after Revenge of the Sith. Or the beginning part takes place during Padme's funeral. Ahsoka is in hiding, and she shows up to the funeral. Bail Organa is trying to help her out, and he gives her a contact device. He says, if you ever need me, just contact me, whatever. And then shows her later on, she's in this village, she's just helping working out. She saves this one lady using the Force, and then this other guy reports on her that she's a Jedi. So we have one of the Inquisitors that comes, and one thing about the battle, she actually takes on the Inquisitor quick, and it was a super quick battle. I wish they would have made it a little bit longer. I know they're trying to show Ahsoka's strength and stuff like that, but I wish they would have made it just a little bit longer to, kind of flesh it out a little bit. But nonetheless, she takes out the Inquisitor pretty easily, and I just like the episode. I like showing her progression throughout these episodes. I just like the way it was showing up in that episode. But moving on to the best episode for me is going to be episode 4, the Sith Lord. And this is where we find out that this is where Count Dooku finds out that there's a Sith Lord on Tatooine. Qui-Gon Jinn comes back and reports that there's a Sith Lord on Tatooine. And then we get to the end of Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon Jinn dies. Count Dooku finds out about the death of Qui-Gon Jinn. He goes and meets up with Emperor Palpatine, or Darth Sidious, really. He meets up with him, and he's like saying, I don't like the way of the Jedi. And you see his progression going into him turning into a Sith Lord. But right before that, we actually get the character of Yaddle, and she comes in and she follows Count Dooku, and she's like saying, no, I believe in you, we could fix this, and we could fix the Jedi ways, let me help you, and stuff like that. And then Darth Sidious is like, prove your worth, prove your loyalty to the dark side by taking on Yaddle and stuff like that. So we have this lightsaber battle. It's good. It was amazing lightsaber battle between Yaddle and Count Dooku. The swell of the music and stuff like that, the score, the music playing on during this battle was amazing. Honestly, this was an amazing lightsaber battle. And of course, in the end, Count Dooku ends up killing Yaddle, and just see his progression turning into a Sith Lord in this episode. Honestly, this was the best episode for me for this series, and I highly enjoyed it. I highly enjoyed this series overall, and just the way everything was playing out and all that. It's like amazing series. Honestly, it's pretty good. I highly recommend y'all check it out. If you're a Star Wars fan, especially, check it out. But like, it was amazing series overall. Great animation, great stories going on between the two characters, and just I liked everything about it, what they're able to do. Honestly, if they do something like this with other characters, I'm definitely all for it. And hopefully they do something like this, tell these stories like this with other characters, expand upon the lore of Star Wars, and give us these stories of other characters and stuff like that. It would be awesome. It would be amazing, honestly, if they do these little short stories and about these characters and all that. So honestly, I'm all for it. If they do that in the future, I definitely will be checking them out. But like I said, highly recommend this series. Definitely check it out if you haven't yet. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below and what you thought about this series if you watched it already. But that's going to do for all for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know I post another video. Hope you all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.